is, but now Yone actually jumps
Great charm. And it's a W as well. Dagda, that's an easy first blood.
Oh my god, that's really unfortunate, buddy.
I'm running it out. Out. Okay, I look as well. They have something?
Yeah,
Nice.
kill the other guy.
Go boy.
Nice.
Burn, catch one and XP.
They can fight me, they say. Yeah, I'm looking. I'm looking Ari, okay? I'm looking Ari. Ari dead, okay? We don't around here.
Yeah.
Well, I'm standing by here in the Marriott Bonvoy post-game check-in with Jojopyun when Movistar Koi, I've done it a million times, but has got 2-1. Yes, come on, give it up for your mid laner.
Thank you.
I guess we'll start there, right? What a warm welcome. They're even singing for you. This is great.
Yeah. This is crazy. I mean, the European fans are so passionate and they're so supportive, so it's great to be here. I mean, there's so much energy in this arena, too. It feels like a Game 5 of the final, so it's wonderful to be here.
Yeah, it has been great to follow. Now, I will say you had a great week one. Being 2-1 is something you'd want, but I guess it kind of stings that a couple of those mid games, like yesterday, were not as good. Like, what do you think the issues were?
I mean, I think yesterday, to be honest, we were just disconnected a lot, and I think it was hard for us to find our role in the game, so I think I also rushed too hard yesterday, but for sure next time we verse KC, we're going to shit on them.
Oh, there we go. I love it. This is one of the reasons why I'm so happy that you joined the league. Your trash talk on Twitter is epic, but you also say it in real life. But isn't it a little bit difficult now? Because you do shit on EU all the time, but you kind of also have to make sure that we have a good standing internationally. Like.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm in a weird spot right now, right? Because I was like NA and I kept shit talking EU and I'm in an EU. So I'm trying to find a middle ground. But for sure, I love that EU is so passionate. It's much more, I feel like when I trash talk, I receive much more either praise or backlash when we lose or win. So it makes it much more exciting.
People aren't afraid to talk back. That is absolutely true. Congratulations, by the way. You are our Kia Player of the Game, which is always nice. You racked up a couple of awards over in the LCS as well. So what are the heights that you want to reach here in Europe?
I mean, I just want to win this league, and I think Movistar Koi and this team has so much potential. So I'm just trying to find every way we can to improve as much as we can, especially in scrims and even on stage. I think the loss yesterday was a really good loss, to be honest, because I think we learned a lot. So yeah, just win the split and have good results internationally.
Love it. Did you learn any Spanish already, or?
Pardon?
Did you learn any Spanish already, or?
Yeah, I did Duolingo in Spanish in the off-season. I think some people know. So my Spanish is like, I wouldn't say expert, but it's pretty good.
It's getting there. We'll check in a few weeks and see how you do. But thank you so much, Jojo, and congratulations on your first week. And we were going to send it to a quick break, and then we'll see the clash of the 0-2 teams who can get their first win of week 1, G2 or SK.
What an incredible play there from...
Oh, that was incredible. You love to see it.
Right, yeah, let's really
What
get into...
a move! He's just so good. I mean, the persistence, the patience to find the angle. You just don't see that from rookies. I think he's got it all. He's got the pizzazz.
Have a break. Have a Kit Kat.
Ooh, that looks good. Do you want to maybe share a little bit? Yeah.
What a move! Wait, is he switching lanes?
Red Bull gives you wings.
The human body was built to move. Not trapped at a desk in one singular posture for 12 hours a day. It's time your chair evolved. This is Secret Lab Titan Evo. ergonomically engineered for you. Gamers, hybrid workers, artists, backing your every move.
And welcome back to the LEC as we're gearing up for our fourth match of the day. And two teams that are winless so far. SK going up against G2 Esports. I don't think we had G2 Esports going winless on our big account. No disrespect to SK, but like for me, them dropping a game at the beginning of the season was maybe likely, but historic debut here for G2 Esports. And 2.
Yeah, not
what
even
happens?
that. No, like G2 in the history of the organization have never gone 0-1 on the opening day. It's just not happened.
Yeah.
This is the first time it's ever happened. The fact that they've now gone 0-2.
Yeah, let me one up it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they have the potential of going 0-3 today as an organization that's dominated Europe, that won everything last year. Coming in with their 2 substitutions this time around, it's not a solid start for them.
Nymaera, what happened?
A lot is the problem. There's a lot there because, you know, we were questioning about, you know, is it a change to the meta and stuff? No, I don't think the meta has changed to the point where that's just the only thing that's happened. I feel like changing jungle support is changing the backbone of a team. And it really has affected their setup for a lot of the objectives. I know that's something that you've been very passionate talking about, GB. I really think jungle support hasn't really clicked in the way that I wanted to so far.
No, I mean, absolutely. I think it comes down to the fact that all G2, when they were online, they'd get so far ahead from the laning phase that having objective control would be so easy for them. But this teamfight specifically as well, it's not just a setup, it's team fighting too. Pay attention to Labrov's ultimate. He's going to hit nuke with it on the Orianna. VB has ultimate. He can go on an ulted target here. But instead, everyone's going on the K'Sante. They're getting 4-man Shockwave. Caps could have followed up as well. He actually started out with the E towards the other K'Sante. That could have been towards the Orianna as well. So I think their target selection doing team fighting, they're still ironing it out. They're a new team, and as you just said, Alex, jungle and support, their backbone. There's new voices in the team now, and they're going to have to find their identity there.
And I think particularly in that last game and that big clip with just the Rell and Yord 4K elo shockwave kind of thing. That game up until that point was, well, you just dunk on ice or whatever, and the Varus is gone, and then suddenly win the team fight. You can see that BB was like angling to get on the Varus, and then, well, okay, well, why is everyone else clumping around here? It feels like they were getting a little bit head in the ground, and they didn't really pay attention to the new terrain you have to play around with Atakan. Maybe there's a difference in instincts there, and they tunnel visioned a bit too much.
Yeah, but it's also just the comms doing that a moment like this, right? Because they are the ones starting it up. You're supposed to have a clear game plan when you start an objective up like this, and you clearly saw the setup for what they wanted with BB going around the corner. But yeah, the execution just never really came through.
Might be a symptom, as you said, of the fact that they brought 2 new players in crucial roles, and usually roles that are going to be decisive when it comes to communication around objectives especially. But I am wondering, should we be worried? I remember G2 slumping or starting slow at the beginning of last year. And to quote Gilius and what he said yesterday on X, are they under pressure right now? Are they under pressure going up against SK today, trying to save their week, especially given the fact that they have 2 rookies in there?
I think, yes. Even at their worst last year, they were still the best team in Europe. At their worst right now, they're not the best.
And the thing about that was that even when they were at their worst, it was really their mid and late game that was the best, and that could bail them out of a ton of early game mistakes. Right now, we're actually seeing their early games aren't bad. I mean, their laning phase is still great. You still got some of the very best laners in the entirety of our region, but if you can't take those leads and go around the objective fights, which are so crucial in these team fight, long-range, objective-based metas, then that's going to hit you even harder. So yeah, it is actually a cause for worry. They're going to have to take away a systematic change at some point.
Back to basics, hopefully, maybe for G2 Esports. And it's Content Monday, so anything could happen. Casters over to you.
I love Content Mondays. When 0-2 teams go up against each other, it's like the Wild West. Anything could happen as they both draw for pick ban.
Well, Joan Marston, what do you think we're going to get coming in for? Is this Skarner already taken off? And Rumble gone as well, but yeah, look, I think there's been a very clear game plan that has been there for SK Gaming, which is revolved around this Jace, Xin Zhao, Galio. The Galio just hasn't really been it from Reeker.
Yeah.
They keep kind of sticking him in a side lane, but haven't really been able to enable fights where you're getting value off of the side lane pressure the Galio has into an ultimate. So I think at this stage, just trying to find something different, mix it up a little bit. Even if you stick on something that's a bit more of a carry, at least then you're getting those resources inside lane for a potential fight, but it just hasn't really synced for SK in a lot of these scenarios.
Yeah, it's not like they've got a different formula. I know it's only been 2 games, but like again, you know, 2 games on the Jace, 2 games on the Galio talked about, the Xin Zhao as well. It seems like SK have been following their version of the book. However, we want to see something different here as Varus is banned away, and on the blue side you don't normally see that, but Maokai is a response. But do G2 prioritize something like the Ashe Dagda, Corki? I know you love Corki.
Viktor.
Okay, locked in.
Yeah, very, very strong pick, but
are we just going to follow the book?
The book is apparently giving life here, because that's all they really want to do. It looks like it will just be the Jace immediately. If they don't swap to something else now, I'm going to be a little sad. There we go. Okay, yeah. Corki is nice. But it definitely feels like, again, they've realized that they've been very reliant on these 3 champions. So
yeah.
we'll have to see if they are going to mix it up a little bit, but maybe, maybe not. Is it just going to be Hufford every time?
You're just thinking about it. You're like, hang on a minute. Are they just going to rinse and repeat for Isma? Skirmishing jungle is a big question. Remember, EU has looked very intensely at things like the Sejuani as well, as a side note. Where other regions are really looking at it. It's a Nidalee.
Okay.
Somebody's been watching some Asian League
I was gonna put. I think if you take the Renekton away here for Broken Blade, you're perfectly fine as a blindable top laner there, and then you're kind of wanting here as the Nidalee as to what you're going to do. SkewMond just hovering because he was the new one trick back in the day, but yeah, I mean, I think Draven would be nice here because it definitely gives you a lot of threat on that bottom side. And then, yeah, I think you just take away the setup for the Nidalee.
Now, first Draven coming through. Side note, you know, talking to a lot of people about how this pick hasn't been seen. We've seen early lane dominance. We've seen early skirmishing, but dangerous when there's a lot of tanks in the game at the moment.
And that's the biggest problem, is that when you have tanks, Draven is not going to have a fun time. So if you end up in a situation where Gen X starts to pivot in towards things like a Cassante pick up here or something along these lines, I think that's where it's dangerous. But you've already got the Nidalee. And I think that's what is the good read here from G2. You're not really want to go Cassante Nidalee for a setup. You're going to want to take something like the Renekton. So it's not going to be that big beefcake in the top side, and then it's only the support you really have to cut down, unless Reeker wants to go towards something a bit tankier in the mid lane, but I really don't see that one happening.
I mean, there's melee anyway, you talk about it, right? So I love that you bring up the specific circumstances to which this Draven has been picked, which for G2, as you were saying, leads to a good read and good vibes by the look of it from G2 as well. Now let's see how the pieces put together, because we've got Nidalee, we've got Yone, we've got our melee pairings, but what does it look like here on the other side when you already see something like the Draven? Engage needs to go, right, with the Draven?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's different ways that can look, though. So there is always an opportunity to go for something that's, say, the best in the top side, because that public execution still counts as enough CC to set you up. You do have the opportunity to go for something like a Cassante and be that front line for it, but I'm curious as to what the game plan is here for Gen X, because I think that's going to tell a lot of what Broken Blade's going to want to go towards. They're already banning top laners like the Renekton we already highlighted, things that can set up for this Nidalee. But if Broken Blade just ends up kind of taking it easy, you play heavily for bot side, I think you're fine here as G2.
Very true. I mean, I want to say that, you know, for G2 as well, with that Cassante still being open, could be an option that SK take away so that there's not something neutralizing up there. I like that you mentioned the Ambessa already. When Renekton's taken off Ambessa, the rest of the matchup's kind of chill.
Yeah, and I don't think SK are eyeing up something like the Jace, especially because they went for the Gnar ban. Jace traditionally does well into the Jace, so they're almost trying to base Broken Blade into a Jace pick, but I don't really know if that's what you want either, because even if Broken Blade does go for the Jace, you can go with that tank style and still provide at least a little bit of the front line for the Draven, but also just really cause issues for a lot of your matchups in the top side. So honestly, I think G2, this Draven pick was just a really good read of what SK wanted to go into.
Now, what does Brom show, Dagda? What does that really get you thinking about here?
I think Rell probably just goes on
yeah,
the race.
yeah.
I think that's what Loopy will be trying to eye up here. Great engage, great setup, but there's the
Alistar's
Xante, okay?
I was going to say, if they pick Rell there, I mean, Alistar is still an option available.
I think you can just go for the Rell and the Jace here if you want to. Play that tank Jace into the top side. Just look to play for turret plates because you're not going to end up with a huge amount of the pressure on the opposite end. But I think, yeah, the only thing that you'd be worried about with the Rell is Alistar is open, but I think Rell is just too strong at the minute. And we've seen how even the Alistar in a good place makes it really tough. This also was a great... I wasn't sure if they're going to go for it. I thought they might put in the support role because there's a lot of dashes that you want to try and go for, and SK do need some sort of engage. So again, I think G2 have absolutely smurfed this draft.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to agree with you as well. Loopy needs engage. There needs to be something that solidifies this comp together. Dagda, there's a couple of elements here for SK that need to work and sync up nicely, right?
So the problem is when you're playing as Nidalee, the things you want are good setup from your lanes and lane priority. Yone doesn't really offer that into the Viktor. You don't really get that in the Poppy versus K'Sante matchup either, because Poppy's level 1 is so strong. So it becomes really difficult to actually try and operate through your solo lanes into a Nidalee invades and getting into the face of the enemy jungler. And then you don't really have great setup apart from bot side. So I think this is going to be a difficult game for us.
But I was going to say, your setup into bot is against a Draven Rell as well. So unless you kind of punish that lane with some really good pathing. I mean, again, for SK, let's see how they go. Isma's got a big task ahead of him. The Nidalee debut in the LEC in our second last game of the first week. G2 are 0-2. SK as well. The difference is that G2, as I've been told by our stats team, have never started a split like this, have never been 0-2 at the start of a split. If they go down 0-3, you will hear the words out of my mouth that are G2 are the worst team of the LEC winter so far. I will say it, Dagda.
I will disagree with you.
They are the worst team on paper.
We'll get the big red arrow for the thumbnail and then a little speaky box that says it for you, but I just don't agree with that at all.
And look, Dagda, there's something I've always wanted to use that I will be allowed.
Is it really the time when they're invading?
It will be, because it will be on fire, Dagda. But nothing happens because of it. Labrov just dismounts. But I will be allowed to use that, won't I?
Yeah, at some stage.
I love how you said yes. You are my leader. If
We'll talk to producers.
If Dagda says I can do something, I can do anything. He says tings. I like that.
What?
Yeah, that. Instead of things, you say tings. It's very cool. It's hard to ever be, upset with an Irishman,
Because of the funny words we say?
No, you're not always funny words. You guys are just so happy.
Depends on which one you get, to be honest. A few grumpy lads there, I'm not going to lie, but SK going to make SkewMond a little bit grumpy as Isma immediately goes for the invade onto this bottom side. I think it's a good shout. Try and split the map and again separate SkewMond from this bottom half of the map. Loopy now going to put pressure on the Cops and early. Summer Spell would be sick, but
Caps just accepts it. Zenplay doesn't care. Aftershock doesn't connect, but Gatling Gun does.
This is also a really weird opening from SK. They've set up Rahel on the mid-wave. They've sent FLICKR to the side lane to just end up operating in towards the Poppy to avoid Genax on the play. And now you've actually just got the Sansama lane into the K'Sante. So not exactly the setup we were expecting for, but again, it does mean you end up with your lack of priority. But with already stealing away at least some of the camps, Isma can try and push SkewMond off of this bot side of the map.
I wonder if it gives you any opportunity here, Dagda, to set up on Caps, maybe a dive, or at least using that poke and range that comes with Phosphorus Bomb, Leona engage, and then the Nidalee. Maybe an advantage if SK can find something.
I just think made your life more difficult, to be honest.
Really?
Like, Reeker doesn't have a good time against the Poppy because immediately you get the push and steadfast presence, so you actually can't trade effectively with your Q, right?
True.
Or your Q3, I should say. And then you've also now got your top laner who's in a 2v1 lane. And sure, Caps is in a 1v2, but he's got range and a very short lane, so you can't punish in the 1v2 as effectively as you would in the longer range or longer lane that you get on the bottom side. So you're gonna already look. You're starting to see like Poppy open up with a nice gold lead. The Viktor is still perfectly fine, and now you're just going to start to look at plates falling for G2. So I think this is a bizarre call, honestly, from SK.
Hans, as you said, I mean, the passive still gets to get stacked, and options here for SkewMond, you might find out soon as Loopy looks for the invade, and getting information is
late
good.
on it, though. So, like, if this is what the setup was, cool. But you needed Isma to kind of forego Raptors and immediately go for that invade so you can try and catch SkewMond, but you'd already forced them out onto that top side. So chances are a lot of his top side camps had already been taken, so you're not really able to make a play. And there is exactly what I was talking about.
The interaction with Grasp of the Undying, Rika just gets slapped a little bit, and Broken Blade continues. I know you see gold there, ladies and gentlemen. He's not in that standard lane, but he is keeping up with CS here, and Broken Blade's just going to keep getting tankier.
Yeah, so this wave now pushing into Broken Blade, he's fine to just play it back. Even if Loopy goes for the engage, that fast presence you can see in the bottom left already back up, so he's not really under any pressure. So I'm not sure what the call is now. The only valuable thing that I can really see coming from this is Corki is a champion that scales very well with levels because like his rockets go up a lot more and he can get a ton of damage, or a lot more damage from that, and gets value from that instance. So I think that's really where you can actually see Rahel starting to maybe come alive in these team fights, but this is still a weird opening.
But I mean, Rahel just takes a big chunk of damage. He was sharing experience as he is now once again as Isma tries for this invade, but Labrov flash Q, Isma flashes in return. The Nidalee, of course, having pounced, but I mean, Isma's just forced back again. That's the second time they've tried to invade and the second fail for SK in the early game.
Yeah, it feels like they're scrambling a little bit to try and make this Nidalee pick work, but because G2 were able to respond well in draft, it's just not really in a position now to take over. So you're matching on CS. You've got your lanes a little bit mixed match now. Labrov will have to reset here, but I think if you're G2, you're still in a perfectly fine position. Now they're actually going to move the Draven up towards this top side as Void Group starts to come through. SK will be in a position to match pretty convincingly because Rahel is consistently having push in the mid against Caps thanks to the 1v2, but I don't know if they're really strong enough to fight. Cap's going to reset now and TP back into mid. He should be in a good spot to just come over.
I know who is strong. That's a BF Sword Draven. Yeah. Straight away. And note again, it goes further to the point that you've been hammering on about. I know people at home will be like, oh, but Dagda, maybe for Kasada it's going to be okay. The Draven got 2 turret plates 3 minutes into the game, 4 minutes into the game. So Han Summer, look at his stacks, 154. That BF Sword early with Draven Q.
Yeah, and here's what it's actually resulted in, is level 6 versus nothing on the opposite side. And then, as you were saying, you're starting to open up this gold lead here, so this hasn't worked out at all for SK. Like, the advantages in the solo laners are there, so they can't contest the Void Grubs. G2 already with a good rotation now. You just end up with Rahel matching into Han Sama while being down on items because he hasn't got a good reset off and had to start with tiers, so it's been really, really weird.
Might get to prove it a little bit here as Zenithblade taken over. Rika does actually get level 6 now. Labrov is the target. They want something, but Shattering Strike delays the engage onto SkewMond. Shield of Daybreak, a Javelin toss, Fate sealed. Rika doesn't connect. It's Flashes burn, but a Zenithblade, a follow-up. SK are getting something from this play, and it will be Labrov in the end who sacrifices his life, so SkewMond lives. Oh no! The Javelin toss hits him in the booty.
Caps didn't move. It was actually the full rotation from SK to get into position. Now Han Sama, he's going to fall underneath this tower as well. Broken Blade has no TP to get here.
Ooh.
Neither does Caps.
These would be stacks tonight. This will be a big kill. Han Sama needs to get something in return. He flashes, but under turret, Isma's got his name. 3 kills, Dagda, and all of a sudden that early lead, that early mishap, the lane allocation, all of it out the window because Isma is fed.
Yeah, SK took a real running start at that Void Grubs and we're like, look, we need to make this happen. The objective goes across, but thankfully getting kills back on towards Isma. He's now at 3 kills. We can see here, Caps not in a position to really come across, and Labrov, because he took that big chunk damage, can't really engage. So this is a 4v3 that ends up splitting off into Rahel doing good damage onto Han Sama, and the other 3 members of SK picking off everyone on G2. It's a bit of a disaster for, well, 0-3 for G2. Do not want to go 0-3.
Yeah, it really is. And, you know, that play puts SK in a 1k gold lead. That play puts a 1k gold lead on the Nidalee with the haunting guys and fated ashes. So, let's just forget everything else that happened.
I do think, though, if those kills had actually gone over towards FLICKR, I would be like, okay, this is blown open for SK.
Yeah, okay.
The Nidalee is still going to be strong, don't get me wrong, but again, you can already see they're struggling to really find avenues to play through the Nidalee. Like, they're not going for invades, they're not finding windows to really shut down SkewMond. So I think Isma needs to start getting creative and working with Loopy to find some of these picks where you can use now all that extra gold that's been on towards Isma. But they're still struggling for levels a little bit. So, and also you can see the gold leads on the solo laners.
Yeah.
So I think, again, it's nice for SK. Not quite out of the woods yet.
Important context. I'll hold on to that here. Is SkewMond is actually on a ward, by the way, or at least that just expired. So knows that Dragon has started here. Control ward in front, going to make sure there's no other vision tagging him as his duration in this Dragon. But look at the minimap. Look at the minimap. SK are channeling down in a conga line all the way to just steal this from their hands. Javelin toss connects and G2 are angling themselves. You see Broken Blade ready to send out the Keeper's Verdict, get a disengage. At 1.5, it's going to be a Dragon Steal for Isma, but he has to get nearby. Teleport bringing in as well, but the Smite already gone down. The Fate Seal, though, connects perfectly. SkewMond in a lot of trouble, but against the wall, Broken Blade denies it being clean. Isma gets a kill once again, but Rika is slapped around by Broken Blade.
SK were a little late on the play, so they had the TP advantage on Gen X. They knew Hans Sama was top, which is why the call was to contest, but Rika doesn't come across quick enough. The engage is desynced, and they actually gave enough time for Hans Sama kind of just walk down to nearly be in position for that fight, so they can't actually go for any sort of follow-up as Gen X TP's down. So it's a 1-for-1. Dragon goes to G2 and the TPs.
Yeah.
You'll see it here, right? The TP is a good call, but look where Hans Sama is. He's just waltzed his way down from topside. Now actually a factor in the fight if it breaks off. And Broken Blade's able to flash out of the pit, so they just trade 1-for-1, and G2 respond correctly by just moving out of the pit.
And Captain Caps picked up the kill as well. Blackfire Torch also comes in with that as well. 500 gold lead for him individually. I will say Isma Leandris is picked up, so more gold on this guy, who's now 1,500 over his jungle opponent. SK holding the lead in the early game. They did start with First Blood, remember, but they do not have the feats of strength right in their back pocket. In fact, 2 out of 3 of those for the objectives has now been picked up by G2.
Now there could be the potential of going towards the third as the next round of Void Grubs is about to spawn. G2 not really in a position to match this. Rika has already started roaming. That's why you've seen a lot of those question mark things as to where this Yone is on the map. But SK can push in mid, will rotate over, and I think G2 just going to give it up. Maybe look for a bit of a play on bot side. As you can see, Labrov cheating down towards that side to protect Caps.
Well, it's just given up for Grubs in the meantime. As you said, to protect Caps so they can get in and use some of these Grubs' power. Rika's just going to take a bit of damage under turret, but at least he's able to step up and clear the wave, thin it out a little bit so that this can't go much further.
Yeah, just looking for plates. Hans Sama in a lot of trouble though. Spear.
He's stepped up to that.
Yeah, not going to connect. Seeing if Hans Sama was a bit to dodge backwards, but again, Corki solo in a 1v1. That shred from the Gatling gun makes it so difficult to trade against them. And Rahel using that to full effect. And now you've got SK back down onto this bottom side, so G2 won't be able to contest for that low health turret. They're just going to take it back nice and easy.
Just waiting for this next breakout because Dragon's not up for a while, Grub's not up for a while. It is nice when you talk in the early game because sometimes there's no objectives, Dagda. It's rare. But imagine having no objectives on the map. I'm telling you, we need another buff. Let's put in a green buff.
Yeah. Atakan's twin brother for, what is it, like 7 minutes in the game?
Yeah. What does he give? A little GA, only a minute this time, as Gen X turret dive is going to kick us off. SkewMond is not in yet, the all-out use, and Broken Blade didn't even tag him up until now. Oh! That was delicious.
Well, orchestrated by G2 there. Isma now on this top side. I don't think there's very much they can do.
Degustation menu, Dagda, what do you think? What's the second course coming up here? Keeper's Verdict, it's swinging, and it's a perfect shot. Putt-putt hole in one.
SK are not getting value from these teleports. They keep trying to match G2, but they're already behind the place. G2 get what they want. And then you end up burning some of these summoner spells as well, which means I wouldn't be surprised to see G2 with like a minute and a half when the next dragon spawns. They can overload topside for the turret, immediately have a double TP in towards a fight as well. SK, they're just being run around.
Hansama taking a bit of poke damage, and although we keep saying, you know, good things about G2 deflecting some of the plays, this Corki might be going back for Trinity Force. Labrov stopping that back as I talk about it. I'm curious, when our observers go towards bot, what that bot turret is looking like right now with the range matchup, especially with Blackfire Torch from Caps as well. Dagda, I mean, very good at poking out this Cassante despite his Iceborne.
Man, he has 1.4k gold lead. Like, this man is huge on the Viktor right now. And it's like, it looks more even in the game because Isma has a bunch of that gold lead, but it is not even when you look at Viktor damage versus Nidalee damage in a team fight. So I think G2 going to be leaning heavily in towards these team fights over the next, well, 45 seconds. It's just a case of G2's team fights have not been as clean as we have seen over the last year, which makes sense. You've only just added new members into the team. It takes a little bit of time to work together, but they do need to be a little bit clean when they come into these fights because you have a lot of turnaround potential with the likes of Reek or even these spears from Isma if they don't engage at the right moment.
Use the word clean or, you know, lack thereof for G2, Dagda. Yesterday, it was only yesterday, their Atakan throw, 6k gold lead. I want to remind our audience at home that, you know, this is not the G2 that can close out games and, I don't know, clean out opponents.
I think look, they are still getting to grips with the new roster.
They are.
And I think saying they are the worst team in LEC, for example, Mr. Hysterics.
Zenith Blade, it catches up. Actually, Broken Blade might be dead. He flashes away, but he's going to get ranged here. A flash to match the auto, and down he goes with the turret, which leads them into the feats of strength.
Okay, that was a great pick from SK. That's exactly what you want to do. They don't go towards the dragon knowing that they don't have that TP advantage we talked about in Reekers. Instead, they're just going to look for plays elsewhere. Pick Nerdy clearing out that top tower will come with the next wave, so nicely done by SK. Kind of getting one back here against G2.
I might be a bit silly. I think Feat of Strength actually picked up by G2 Dagda. I saw it on the little overlay there that I believe its bottom outer turret actually fell before mid.
Yeah, so they got first tower and they got the 3 grubs plus 2 dragons.
2 dragons, yep, there we go.
Yep.
Thank you. At least we got that little overlay there because I was like, wait, mid went down with it. SK big.
But look, this is why I think the overreactions to G2 are they're overreactions. Like, this is still a team that once they come to grips with how the team wants to function, whose role is what in the team, they will bounce back. It's just, hey, you've got 2 new members, a change in how your team operates, learning how, especially SkewMond and Labrov to work together.
Yeah.
It changes an entire team dynamic.
And you're exactly right. I mean, even with the old roster last year, what was it, summer, when they started deflating a little bit as well? But then, oh no, they just win more championships. So, let's see. I mean, again, you know, because it's got to be clickbait, Dagda. So, if they don't win this game, I mean, 0-3 will be the worst start G2 have ever had.
Yeah, I think it's either that or this Viktor did was in this game because Caps is very close to popping off. If you make one mistake, and Labrov is trying to see if he can catch Loopy and Isma as they are a little bit out of position, but just trying to contest on this mid wave as you do have Rift Herald spawning in just a couple of seconds.
BT picked up by Hansama, by the way, so he's got a little more flexibility in this fight, or rather a bit more shielding to help him play aggressive. As Titanic also picked up by SkewMond. Looking on the other side, Isma now has a Seeker's Armor Guard. His ability to pounce and hold has just begun as SK sitting around mid on a ward. Broken Blade wants an angle, and you can see Genax is not willing to give up that bot wave that's crashing in. It's a small window here for G2 to help get that mid push and have a numbers advantage for now.
Yeah, still, Corki can clear out these waves very, very quickly. So shouldn't be too much of an issue to actually get in position to contest. But G2, I was about to say, need to start this up because they want to get that TP bird from Genax, and at least if they're going to have to fight the 5v5, get something early.
Loopy sends up with a Zenith Blade while G2 are killing Baron's younger sister. For now, G2 ignore it as Broken Blade. Remember, he was here first. Loopy is caught unawares and gives the cash into Hansama.
That's not the TP. That's not the TP.
It's unstoppable, but not when Steadfast Presence is up and available. Genax has to flash away as well as G2 now play their own version of front to back, and Caps starts electrocuting Rahel. He gets Fate Seal. He flashes away, and Rika wants to get out of his own way, but Labrov keeps him in place, and Isma has to walk up, now walk away. Hansama's ready to pounce.
Genax got SkewMond though, so it is a 1-for-1 and all said and done. Now the TP coming back from Rahel to force G2 back. Rift Herald was not taken. G2 still have the TP for Caps and Broken Blade. How risky are SK feeling in starting this one up?
Isma low on mana, but he's in the river.
Yeah, they have to give this up. Broken Blade went to bot lane, so he needs to reset, then TP into the fight, and SK, they're just going to be able to take this. So using that extra TP on Rahel, really helping out for SK.
Yeah, it really is. Again, SK, as we look back at this replay, I mean, they started this off bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great pick on towards Loopy, so it was a 1-for-2, but as you TP in here, I thought this was a disaster for GenX, but he just immediately turns on towards SkewMond, so I'm trying to see, yeah, because it looks like there was poke damage from Rahel and Isma immediately that took him low, but now Loopy caught out.
Yeah, he is, once again. He burned his flash in the last trade, so this is a free kill for G2, and, you know, Caps is just going to take this in a second. That's the second kill for the Viktor here. Caps still ahead.
Yeah, it's a big mistake from Loopy. Look at where Isma is in the map. He's back in his own jungle. No one was in it anywhere to follow up with him. Yeah. And you don't even have a position on the map to try and throw down the Rift Herald and trade for you being overextended there. So Loopy just getting caught for nothing, and now G2 should be able to get this topside turret off the back of us.
Caps also evolve Chaos Ray. Almost second item. I mentioned it before, but 1,500 gold lead in mid. We started this game by talking about how strong Isma was, and Dagda, you're very right when you talked about the impact that this Nidalee could have in this game. Even at the end of the laning phase, even through some of the skirmishes, yes, there's big damage, but if they don't take care of Caps, or, mind you, Hansam's Draven, you can see that, like, this burst damage, those carries can't survive.
Needed to land on a high priority target.
Yeah,
it hits onto Hansam or Caps at the start of a fight. Fantastic. SK are cheering because they may have just won the team fight off of a single spear, but if you don't end up with that, it becomes very difficult to try and sneak one past Broken Blade or even an ulted SkewMond or even a potential engage from Labrov. So this is where SK need to try and play this a little slow, wait for Isma in the hopes he can land one of those miracle spears.
They've summoned the Rift Herald, by the way, as well, just to add a bit of priority in that bot side. Teleport being used by Caps just to get a bit closer, set up for this fight. Loopy again is the first target. He's the front line, but Broken Blade gets knocked back. Rika, though, a two-man is perfect, but Caps walks it out. GenX all out, but now he's squishy, and he's without the rest of SK. He sacrifices his life, but gives a shutdown, or rather a catch in, and a dragon. I thought SK were going to finish it, Dagda, but Isma walked it away, and SK just didn't want to stay.
It was a great ultimate from Rika. Now going to see if he can get on towards Broken Blade, but he's just too tanky. And the problem was, Rika, the ultimate was class. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But Loopy missed the solar flare in the follow-up, which meant that they couldn't really stay in the fight to finish off those low-health members. So G2 end up taking the fight, and now getting so much more.
Flash shove against the wall. Caps with a storm for Rika. A double kill over to the mid lane legend. And let me tell you one thing, if Caps is fed, you can smile as a G2 fan.
But look at it here. So the engage from Rika comes through, and it's great. Loopy, weird position on this top side, and then Rika managed to catch SkewMond and Caps, which is perfect, but solar flare goes wide. It's misplayed, like they don't time this with each other, and then GenX has already gone into the back line, but there's no one actually CC for him to try and take care of, and Rahel hasn't really been able to get in a position to carry the fights. They try and do something here onto Broken Blade, but it ends up only costing them more on the back end.
So that burst, I mean, every single fight now, well, last couple I should say, you know, Caps' damage is huge. Unsustainable to stay in long periods of time, let me tell you. Hansama now with an Infinity Edge. And we talked about the lower points of Draven, but Dagda, we can talk about Rahel's ability to get in the fight when Rika jumps in as well, when he has to commit his all-in dive. If it doesn't connect, if Hansama's able to free move, Cap's able to free move, damage from G2, it's just over in a blink.
But I do, like, that was what Rika had to do in that fight. Like, that was really well played by the SK mid laner. It's just unfortunate that the follow-up wasn't quite there. So G2 kind of got away with it, in a sense. Now with 3 dragons, G2 set up, looking for that Baron control. Broken Blade again on that bottom side. They can just continue to play out the wave states and wait for potential mountain soul for themselves.
Loopy again is the engaged. Solar Flare missed again, Dagda. He flashes away, but where's he gonna go? SkewMond takes his kill credit. Over the wall, Labrov gets the Magnet Storm while GenX is slowed down, stunned up. Rika, he gets his ulti again. It's onto Caps, but no one else there. A storm of chaos peruses like a bookshelf from hell. Rahel runs back. The turret is friend, But G2 with 5 yet again.
That was looking like a Thor scene. You get slammed into the wall, next thing there's a giant hammer, and a lightning storm gets called down your head. FLICKR did not have a good time with that one. And now G2 immediately over towards Atakan. Perfect timing as well. 2:30 until that Baron. They're immediately going to be able to use this to either pick up that objective or just start looking for inhibitor turrets.
It's peaceful on Summoner's Rift. That's
Yeah,
because
it got real quiet
the
real quick.
curse of Atakan has been lifted. This guy, thing, not great.
No, crowd, you're supposed to be quiet. Quiet.
Shh. The library. Wow, a Dagda, by the way. Voracious Atakan, by the way. What?
Wait, is it actually?
Yeah, the same one we get every game. No, not Ruinous. Yeah.
I was so excited. I was like, wait, we got rooted. I'm like,
Yo.
these kills and damage don't match up. I was like, what?
No, it's the
Yeah, I
it's
should
the
have
GA
known.
one.
I should have known. Look, words are hard, okay? You've got to use it earlier. I'm going to use it now.
They are hard.
Okay.
Oh,
English is a terrible language. That's why
really-
we should all learn Irish.
Oh, we should. No. What?
Yeah.
No, sorry. I was going to say the one word I know. I'm like, is that appropriate?
I don't know what word you know.
You taught me it.
I don't know.
What does that one mean?
That means thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not that one, Dagda. But take your pick. Anyway, he won't admit it on broadcast, but Dagda is a little bit spicy, and I will say that as G2, they've been spicy in this game thanks to the fact that their mid and AD carry are fed. Pushing up sides, Caps is now just using Broken Blade with an ulti.
Oh my god, that
Rika! Holy. Well, flash away. Rika, see you later. Oh, Labrov is dead.
He's fine. He's just going to go
withdrawing
straight back to base.
What do you think happens when you withdraw?
You go back to base.
Yeah.
I think literally you can see it on screen.
Not
Hands going to need
philosophical.
to... No.
No, but I mean, like, you know, like in life, Rika is about to die if he stays there. Good thing he dodged away.
They do lose the tier 2 mid, though. I just would like to point out. So see, Jake, that's where you go.
That's, yeah.
But the tower doesn't have false life, so it's not going to go back to base.
No.
It's
so what happens
just
to
gone.
the turret when it dies?
I don't think it has a soul, but I don't know if we're going that deep
Can't
into
say
it.
that. How do you know? You telling me
it wasn't in the patch notes, so that's all I have to go off of.
Small text, buildings have souls. Cap still with a GA, yeah, he can do this. He doesn't care. Broken Blade can also do this, he cares not. I mean, G2 all of a sudden, just because they've got Atakan, they're in control, and they're going to teleport in, Dagda.
Hell has TP as well, though, so he's actually going to join in.
Guess who's the target again? Loopy at half
That's
HP.
very far forward for Corki.
It is right in the middle of everything, and it creates a magnet storm, chaos storm. SK are unborn. A double over to Caps as it holds the rift. Hot stand, that's some electricity as Rika gives over the first pentakill of LEC 2025.
Feel Caps' storm scorn on the bottom lane as G2 will pick up a magnificent pentakill for the man himself in the mid lane.
10-0 and 4, all of a sudden we celebrate him more. Man, this guy's good. 5.5k in G2. Sick of being 0-2, Dagda, I think we can say.
SK feeling the brunt and the weight of G2 Fury as they move over, not only off of a Mountain Soul, but now to pick up a Baron buff for themselves as well. It was already an uphill battle. Now it's just an avalanche that's taking SK with them, and this TP was way too far forward. You can already see massive amount of pings from Caps immediately onto that area. The CC, the storm is immediately getting wider thanks to the extra kills, and it takes up the entire lane. FLICKR knows he's done for, does what he can. But there was just nothing you could
seen
do.
those Cho'Gath with like 10k stacks or something taking up the whole of Summoner's Rift. Yeah, Viktor picking up all 5, and as we said, first Penta Dagda. It's only week 1. Nice to see.
G2, the question is now, are they back? I mean, fantastic stuff, but it is just one game. I think, again, this is kind of what we expected. Eventually, G2, we're just going to find the rhythm, and hopefully this is the start of seeing them return towards that top of the standings. But week 1 is nothing to really start to worry about as G2 now start to move in towards that top side tower. Broken Blade going to continue his push in mid, and SK kind of scratching their heads as to how they're supposed to stop it.
They really can't. Labrov zoning's big. SK are a 5-man group now looking for an angle to find a pick, but They'll get nothing of the sort. G2 with an inner turret top. That's now down. Broken Blade is using Baron to push in mid, and he's drawn the attention of 2 people. That opens up windows here. G2 getting engaged on. Rika thinks better of it. The next wave start crashing in.
There's very little they can do. You can see SK running back towards their Nexus turrets, but I don't think they're really going to keep themselves either. SkewMond just poking with the wind becomes lightning, threatening and engage. But G2, they got what they came for, and mid lane's next in the cards.
Caps get a double penta. That's what we wait for. I mean, this Viktor's capable of it. As SK look, they're going to get slowed down, and here he comes again. Loopy flashes away, doesn't want to get gravity field. Magnet Storm is beautiful. Let's just do it again, Dagda! But this time it's hard to get the double kill, but hell, you still see that Chaos Storm owning the Rift. Genax moves to the fountain, but G2 in 28 minutes say enough is enough. Ending week 1 with a win. We see this roster pull it all together to end out their debut.
Turns out if you give Caps the most broken mid laner on the patch, he's going to do absolute wonders with it. G2 pick up their first win of 2025.
And in great style, Dagda. Concerns in the early game, a triple kill for Isma, or at least 3 separate kills, I should say. It didn't matter. Compositionally, G2, you loved it. I loved it. We all at home loved it, as you can both be a key player of the game. Broken Blade, Caps, or Han Summer? Come on.
Yeah, one of those got a pension.
Is it a question?
One of them didn't die that game.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
If it doesn't go to Caps, I am going to report each and every one of you. I'll find you. And I'll put you on
but it's a good thing that we are going to a break, so he has time to go and find you. So we're going to kick it off. But we're going to go to our afterwards. Sorry, we'll go back with Sjokz, who's standing by with Caps.
Let go.